Welcome back to Intravenous and Intravenous II, and to my thoughts video about the games. I decided to do both in the same go because they are pretty much the same game, and actually you can play the first game as a DLC in the second game now, which wasn't available when I started Intravenous I last September, I think. So you can do that to get the better version of the first game, because I think many of the features in second game that were new were got from the first game because he didn't have time or money or both. I can't remember which he said it about. He talked about it somewhere online. Roman, the single dev. But yeah, this is my thought series that I always try to do after I complete a video game. After I complete a game on my channel, and I have done other games already. And it's basically not a review, but kind of like the title says, my thoughts. And I also view it through how do you can say it, like, it's not a review criteria, but like a set of criteria through which you can view a game, I guess. It's based on the Disney's theme park design thing they have, like the 10, I think it's 10 steps, which Tim Kaine took and put it into video game perspective on his videos, and then I took it from there and made it kind of like my own version to judge video games with. And I explained this in the first thoughts video, but I thought to explain it again. So the first part, the first thing on my list is knowing your audience. You know, like, don't bore people, don't assume they are stupid, you know, stuff like that, basically. And also being careful with the cultural references and the humor. I think in this case, this is like pretty much the best part of Intravenous, because it knows its audience really well. It's really geared towards the old school Splinter Cell and Hitman stealth game crowd, and it doesn't assume they don't know what the game is or anything like that. It doesn't hold hands. The humor is kind of there and sometimes kind of weird, but I guess it fits the world, so I didn't mind it too much. And there's not really cultural references or anything like that weird going on, so passes on that level. This is not like a pass or fail level kind of stuff, but like just what I think about the game, like I said. The second thing is the flow. I think the first game had some sticky levels that were kind of like, I don't know if I like the flow, but I think almost all of those levels in the second game had a pretty good flow, in my humble opinion. The story is clear, the story does flow, and it's very minimal. It's not the point. So in that sense, the flow is there and it works. The steps are obvious, which means the objectives. That's where this game sometimes kind of falters. And I also have written a note about it on my notepad, I guess. That the game should have like a map. And I don't mean like a map that you can use all the time and that it shows your location, or a mini-map, but like a map that you have in the old thief games, where you have like this like map of the place with like where guards are, possible entrances, you know, like you could have something like that brought back to this game, and it would be pretty nice, I would say so. And it would work really nicely. Because sometimes you just kind of get lost in these maps, especially in the second game. They are pretty big. Usually it flows pretty well, and you're like kind of like stumble upon the place where you're supposed to go. But sometimes it's like, no, you're just kind of lost. But pretty much otherwise the flow is pretty good. Story pacing, well, the story isn't really the point here, is it? It does flow and it works like as a like 80s action movie kind of thing. Yeah. Don't contradict. Or avoid contradictions. Like the game should be recognizable. Or like don't retcon or change the game's lore too much. Yeah, it doesn't do that really. The story works like it should, I think. And doesn't like contradict itself. It's pretty clear on what it wants to do, and it does it really well. Come to me moment. Like wow moments. Yeah, the style is very like it's a top-down pixelated game with very like dark aesthetics, so it isn't like wow visually. But the firefights and the grenades and the molotovs, you know, like they can create some pretty neat effects, like where the destruction starts happening. So it's using what it has very well, I think. The next step is visual literacy, so environmental storytelling and stuff like that. The first game had less of it, the second game has more of it, and it has more like mission locations that are recognizable as what they are. The first game had a lot of like slums, I would say so. Otherwise there's not that much, you know, like environmental storytelling, but it works, so not much to comment on there. Keeping it simple, like don't overload the player with stuff. Keeping it in universe, like yeah, the HUD is very minimalistic in this game, so that's very good. And yeah, it doesn't overwhelm you. It's keeping it very simple down to the gameplay. This is a very gameplay focused game, so and different things for different people is the 8th and last thing I have here. Well, this game knows its audience, so there's kind of like the stealth and go loud parts, but it's basically still for the same people, so it's not for everybody, that's for sure, but it's for the people that do like this kind of game. It's really good. So yeah, that was basically my the lens I want to view it through for this game. Then I have like some other random notes here. Yeah, the feedback in this game is not always there. Like sometimes the feedback is like with feedback I mean the like cards reacting. Like some, like especially in the second game where there was like more systems in play, you were like, what's going on? Like you hadn't took anybody down. And sometimes there was just like cards alert, like that, and Also, the cards are like hypersensitive, like they are almost too sensitive. Like if some gangbanger just goes missing on their patrol, there shouldn't be like any, like all the cards like congregating on one blob and like searching the level, you know. There should be like more like a heightened alert status. But with the organic AI system the game has, like it doesn't have like much in the way of like scripting. It means that the AI just like goes into a blob, like a doom ball, and starts like patrolling the level very aggressively. Like I think there should be like some middle ground there, like where raising the alarm doesn't mean like game over, and it's usually even a delayed game over. You might even not know what's going on, and suddenly like you realize that something you did 5 minutes ago created like a state, alert state throughout the whole map, and now everybody's just like looking for you. Yeah, it's a little bit too much, so I had to actually change the difficulty mid-game, make it more fun, so they don't like recognize missing people, you know. That made the game much more tolerable for me, even though I like hardcore stealth. I talked about the map already, and yeah, sometimes the hearing mechanics in the game are odd, in my opinion. The cards are very sensitive. Well, not sensitive, but sometimes they hear stuff and sometimes they don't hear similar stuff, so it's like it feels a little bit inconsistent, but I don't know. Yep, that's pretty much what I had written down. So thank you to everybody who's been watching this. Please comment, like, subscribe, tell me what's wrong. I can because I haven't done many of these videos, so I take suggestions. But yeah, that should be it. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.